Miami at Houston. Houston's a 3.5 point favorite at Bet365. I will say the line moved from 2.5 to 3 on Sunday, moved back to 2.5 at most books, but it's still -3 at Bet365. This was a game yesterday, Simon. I don't know if you felt this when you were doing your film study, but as I was doing my research, I kept looking for reasons to like the Texans. And like eventually I said to myself, do I like the Dolphins at 2.5? And it seemed like um the wise guys do because they moved the line from 3 to 2.5.
Yeah, I would say the wise guys to me seem like they like Miami at 3, and
That's
then
what I
not
mean.
so much at 2.5. So
Yeah,
I
it's
agree with
like,
your sentiment there.
yeah,
Um, I'm having a tough time with this one too because I just think the Texans are just a better team, and I trust them more. Honestly, at this point, Miami, we've seen them beat up on bad teams and then kind of struggle or be inconsistent against good opponents, and that was the type of game last week that we talked about. Like Tua, he is pretty special, and we've seen this season now. He's had a couple of games where he's willed his team to a couple of victories, and like a game we probably took too lightly. We talked about was that Bills game. He had his team in that game, a game they usually get blown out in. I think they only lost by 6. He upset this Rams team. It looks like a juggernaut, and again, a late touchdown score by him. So yeah, it's a tough one, Chad. I'm with you. It's like at 3. I'm seeing a couple public books right now and are still at 3. That seems like that's right. Like this number feels right at that number, and at that number, I would take Miami, but it's not one I'm really banging the table for as we sit here right now.
yeah, I was just surprised. Sometimes I just like the validation. I'll just be honest. Like you do the work during the day, you form an opinion, and all of a sudden you're like, oh God, do I actually like this team?
Yeah,
And then I saw the number move after all that. I'm like, wow, maybe I do like this team. Uh, just for clarity, like what I saw was Miami's red zone offense is top 10. I was surprised it was as high because I feel like, and this is just bias, right? We've talked about this. The Dolphins offense is just not very physical. And so they get down in the red zone and you think they're going to struggle, but it turns out they don't. Maybe we just felt this way because of how they played against the Jets. Red zone defense is top 6. And so we know Miami will be able to dink and dunk its way down the field against a middling Texans defense this year. Um, so I just sort of thought, I think they can move the ball. And at 3, it's probably the right side. But agree with you, 2.5, not the flavor for me.
yeah,
And I
agree.
don't like the Texans at 2.5. Like I don't think I like the Texans anymore. More
That's
importantly,
fair, but that's what's worrying me a little bit is that maybe we've gone too far on just because I think you agree that like there's just something off about their offense and their offensive line right now, and like that CJ just has not looked the same this year. Same thing we had a problem with Jordan Love. That just they're kind of going through that year 2 slump, right? And we've seen it this season where Jordan Love looks like he's coming out the other side of it. I still don't know where CJ is at. He just has not looked in rhythm all season.
I just want to be clear because we had a little bit of miscommunication on the Panthers. Right now, are we going to revisit this game on Thursday? Are we taking it off the board?
Which game?
Like,
This Miami game?
yeah,
I mean, yeah, we could break it down again. I'm to me, there's just not too much value on the line. Like it's another
that's
game.
what I just want
I
to
have
make
it at
sure we're
3.
both agreeing that there's no value in this game, that it's not going to be a game that we particularly like. I don't see it moving out of this 2.5 to 3 range. And so I want to make sure that you and I are clearly communicating because I think we crossed wires on the Panthers and ended up not putting them in the contest when we both kind of thought we should because we were waiting on a certain number and that might not have been the case.
Fair.